In my previous video, we talked about Cat the Merchant and her demise after that, so let's move on with another bug we encounter in Bone Bottom. When you first enter the Bell Station, you will meet the Fearful Pilgrim here resting alone. Once you have defeated the Bell Beast and walk back to Bone Bottom, she will have some unique dialogue. If you travel using the fast travel mechanic, she hides away from fear of the Bell Beast. You could also summon the Bell Beast in front of her and this has the same result. After that, she will leave the station to start her pilgrimage, but soon after she will meet her demise near the outskirts of the Marrow Hill. If you have the Needolin hub and she is still alive, this is her hidden dialogue, which most of us will miss in our first gameplay. There are a lot of challenging boss fights in the game and you might even miss some of them after completing the game. One of them is the Brood Mother, which only spawns when you accepted the wish at the quest spot. After defeating her in the slab and redeem your reward, going back to the arena again and you will hear some noise in the background. So this is the Broodling and spawn of the Brood Mother. Talking to the bug here reveals that she might be the next Brood Mother of the cycle. The next hidden boss is the Father of Flame in Wisp Ticket and can only be found after having the Fade Down clock as you need to double jump to reach him. After defeating him, he drops the Wisp Fire Lantern and summon wisps that automatically targets nearby enemy, which is quite handy when fighting other bosses. The auto attack will burn some of the silk away to summon the whips. Once the Father of the Flame is defeated, the bugs in that area will now be able to self-destruct and spawn whips when you are near them. After beating the Widow and getting the Needolin, there are a lot of interactions when you play the harp on NPC and town folks for their hidden dialogue. Enemies will get stunned for a while if they are around you. Dead bodies also have a bit of dialogue around them, and you can now open these river balls scattered across the map. You can play the harp while sitting on the bench and switching from left-handed to right-handed or vice versa during the melody will always miss a beat in the process. Hornet also falls back a bit if you are near a cliff while playing the harp so that she can get some stability, I guess. Speaking of stunning enemies with the harp, if you go back to Moss Home and find this fly that is carrying a moss berry, instead of killing it, play the harp and it will drop whatever it's holding. Even the Flea in this secret room right here. Another scenario you can take advantage of is this particular bug in Far Fields that drop the Spine Core item for the Seamstress quest. And if you play the Needolin, you can gather them easily without actually killing the bugs. The direction of the silk staggering the enemy will always be traced back to the cradle, which is where Grandmother Silk is at. For example, like in Far Fields, in Sherwood, or in Greymore. The next secret is not really a secret as most of you already know it, but just in case you don't, try enter the secret code which is up down, left right at the extra tab. The screen flashes a bit and you can now unlock Steel Soul mode earlier when you start a new save file without actually completing the game. And speaking of save files, you can now access the backup saves by pressing this button here if you missed something important or lost all your rosaries in your playthrough. The backup saves mostly consist of the timelines when you pick up quests or skills. However, this will override your current save though, but it is quite handy for me when recording footage for this video as I can just go back to Act 1 without playing through the whole game again. Yet, the writing, recording and editing still takes up a lot of my time, so if you really like what I'm doing here, please consider to give a like and subscribe because it's gonna help me a lot. But anyway, let's continue. From my last video, we mentioned about the Huntress for a bit, so we are gonna elaborate more about it now. When you first met her in her cottage at Putrefied Ducks, she will ask you to gather various organs of other bugs to feed her children. By using different types of tools, you may get the seared organ, shredded organ, or skewed organ. Not just normal enemies, bosses also drop organs too if they are killed with the correct tools. For example, if you throw a Pimpolo while Grow the Great is doing this move, the bomb explodes inside him and drops the seared organ. The Vote Vessel and Fire Lantern also has the same result when used. Although the wish states that to just use tools, attacks move from Crest also actually works, like when arming the Architect Crest. The charge attack of the Hornet looks like a drill and drops the shredded organ, whereas when arming the Beast Crest, the downward or pogo attacks also drops the shredded organ when killing bugs. If you progress to Act 3 without completing the wish, visit the cottage later and you will find the carcass of the Huntress and one of her offsprings, Rand. You can talk to the bug for some lore-end story, and in the end, he now gives you the Run Feast quest, and any progress you made in the previous quest carries forward. The reward for both is the same, and it's the Long Claw tool, which allows Hornet to attack from a further distance. In terms of creativity and freedom, Team Cherry never fails to surprise us. And what is your favorite detail or secret that you found during your gameplay? Let me know in the comments below, and I might just add it into my next video and credit your findings. At some point when Sherma went into Whiteboard to collect supplies, you are tasked to track her down and rescue her. After fighting some enemies, play the harp in front of her and she will be singing in a slightly crying tone instead of the normal one, cause she's too afraid. Speaking of crying, remember Crot the Gunner Flea who peeps at you in the hot spring? This is how he sings normally when you play the harp. And this is how he sings after you hit him for peeping, which he also has a crying tone if you listen carefully. In the beginning of the game, when you first play the harp in front of the druid in Moss home, we don't really understand what her dream dialogue is about up until when you're done playing Act 3. Then you will understand what she is actually foreshadowing events of what you are going to find and face in the main storyline. Speaking of the 3 hearts, did you know that there is actually a 4th one that you can collect? In Sinner's Road, there is this one bug locked behind a cell called the Green Prince. After unlocking it with a simple key, he will leave the area and can be found later in the Cottonwood Dancers Arena in Act 3. Exhausting his dialogue here will move him to Bedania, and playing the harp with the Elegy of the Deep just like the other 3 bosses, you will enter his memory to fight him. After defeating him, he will drop his Conjoined Heart, and if you come back later in the game, these plants that have 3 clover leaves has grown near his corpse, just like the ones you found in Lost Vidania. There are also some hidden dialogues with the Snail Shamans once you have the Conjoined Heart in your inventory. It can also be used as one of the hearts to progress the storyline too. If you have a house in Belheart, the heart can also be kept as a memento and you can hear the heart beats faintly in the background. After gathering all the 3 souls of the shaman, which is the maiden, the hermit, and the seeker soul, we will also need to find the snare setter in Wilderness Atla right here. The snare setter itself is actually a tool that you can use and the damage is not too bad. giving it to the caretaker in the first shrine to progress for the game, and it will be removed from your inventory, and now she will move to the cradle. On your way to the boss fight, you can see her waiting for you here, and she mentions that the trap has been set, and you could clearly see the difference right here. After the fight, going for the Needolin selection progresses you to Act 3, and Lace shows up to cut off one arm of the boss to save you from being pulled into the abyss. After the credits roll, you will be forced back to the main menu, and your save file will be covered in black tendrils like this. The sound effect here is also quite similar to the ones you can hear at the abyss in Hollow Knight. The front cover here is also an obvious juxtaposition to this one when you start a new save file. Going back to the arena later in Act 3, and you can find the last ability of the Hornet, Pale Nails. In Act 3, one of the fleas that you haven't found in the locked room beside Pilgrim Rest is trapped by the black tendrils. The cute thing about this flea is when you go near to it, it will start to bark furiously, but if you step back away a bit, they will wink like a disappointed sad dog. In Act 2 though, it will be sleeping soundly just like a cute puppy waiting to be discovered by you, the player. At the edge of Farfields, you can find the Spring Master bug in Act 3 after having Silksong. Upon speaking to him, he will offer you for a race, and the wish icon here looks identical to the Dash Master charm in Hollow Knight. While playing the minigame, if you hold the sprint button at the correct timing, which is around at the second bell, when the race starts, you will have a small speed boost giving you a head start in the minigame. Maybe this is a Mario Kart reference and Easter egg placed by Team Cherry. If you decide to forfeit the race here, you could just play the hub and the blue bug will stop the race and take you back to the start of the track. You could also just walk away during the race and exit the room. Depending on how you forfeit the race, the Spring Master also has two different dialogues to say when you speak to him again. For some reason, when you play the hub near the blue bug before the race, it doesn't show any dialogue, but if you win a race and play the hub afterwards, it now has its own unique dialogue. Another minigame is dart throwing in the marrow, hosted by Lodi. If you throw the pin at him while playing the game, he ducks down to dodge, just like this. If you exit the room halfway into the minigame, he also has something unique to say about it. The development of Silksong relies heavily on its predecessor, so it is not uncommon to see some Easter eggs and references regarding to the old game. Here are some of them. In one of the highest spots of High Halls, the fountain here has a spool extender, which reminds me of the fountain and king statue at the Abyss in Hollow Knight, which also has a void vessel after you donate your geodes. After the Skull Tyrant event in Bone Bottom, the bench is repaired, and the bonfire here looks uncanny to the ones beside Lake Eater in Fungal Ways. The mask of the Scarguard warrior looks really similar to the ones Pain Master Shio is drawing in his cottage. While in the sense of Karak, there's a dead bug sitting on the bench, and while resting on it, the scene looks very much alike when you see with Quirrell in City of Tears. And speaking of City of Tears, how can you not mention the spike ceiling above the King Station and Coral Chambers, and both of them has hidden loot at the end if you pogo through the spikes. Do you notice them when playing the game or have any other familiar experiences? Let me know in the comments below. Approaching the end game, after collecting all of the 3 hearts, the Steel Shaman will conjure the spell and force you to enter the Red Memory. Upon entering the area, the soundtrack here is actually a slower version of the song when you first enter the White Palace. This is one of my favorite areas because it is full of nostalgia, not just for Hornet but also as players when we first play Hollow Knight. So I will just let the memory play here without any more further commentary. Thank you for watching, and this is the end.
Pianero.